call this meeting to order, please.
One maybe.
Remind everyone that this is a special meeting of Fiscal Court. The agenda items have been set. Discussions concerning employee retention, and in particular retention of law enforcement agencies that brought this to our attention. But this is a situation that we're fully aware of, not just in our community but across the nation, finding employees, police department in particular. You find when you look up other departments, some of these larger departments are 700, 800, 900 officers down, and that trend's not going to change, I don't believe, in the near future. San Diego was one in particular I read about. That's a good thing about the internet service. You can look up and digest what's going on in other places. But we are talking about Nelson County today, and it's important for us to stay focused on pay issue, and let's make sure that we all use our best emotional intelligence today when we're discussing. No hollering, no pointing fingers, and so forth. We have discussed law enforcement with the sheriff in the past, individually and as a unit, and I have discussed it several times with the sheriff, so I don't want the public to think we're not communicating. We just have a disagreement sometimes. One or two things that the sheriff said at the last fiscal court meeting about unlimited sick days. I can find no particular department that's offering unlimited sick days. In particular, the city is not. I took it and I looked at the video, Raymond. You did not say Barstown, so I stand corrected. But it was implied to me that the Barstown was given unlimited sick days. But there's no. If you give me a department, I'll find out how they're doing it and how creative they are in doing it. Okay. I have conducted informal exit interviews with deputies that have left us. Up to 5 of those officers have left over the last 18, 19 months, and 4 out of the 5 cases, it was not all about money as to why they were leaving. The city has 6 retired police officers on their payroll. 6 retired police officers. If we had 6 on our payroll, it would save us $330,000 a year, which would, on our 17 officers, that would mean we would have flexibility for a significant pay increase. Those 17 officers could receive anywhere from $5 to $9 an hour increase if the court chose to do so. We have no retired officers on our payroll right at this present. The city does have 6, and they are eligible now for up to 8, according to the chief, Cressy. So I had a good long talk with her as well. Fiscal Court just approved a 7% rate increase for all employees, and that meant that the average police officer is going to get a $3,500 a year increase in pay. Fiscal Court funds the Sheriff's Department total of about $2.7 million. I'm just setting the table so you guys know where we are. Law enforcement agencies around the country have many open slots. 86% of the agencies report shortages nationwide. Police Foundation had reported. As I mentioned earlier, San Diego Police Department had gave 30% raises to their employees just a few years ago, and still have 72 officer slots open. And annually, if we wanted to give a significant increase to the police department only, or any of the employees across the board, you would be looking at a rate hike or a tax rate hike, a rate hike on services, like such as a 911 service and other services we provide, ambulance service, whatever it may be. We have to keep a little bit of money in the reserves to operate on, because you have a air conditioner go bad in the Civic Center, that's $50,000 to $75,000. We can't just budget every penny that we have. We have to be a little bit cautious about that. I passed out a packet for you. The first page Sheriff, I'm going to give you one of these as well. Media. Okay, go to page 1. Page 1 shows what the county employee turnover is right now at this time from the various departments. You can see the jail and the EMS service is probably the 2 top turnovers that we have, and solid waste is right behind it. Those are the last 18 months. Everybody follow me on that?
Yes, sir.
Go to the next page. It shows the 20. Yes, sir.
You have numbers of employees in all these departments to compare them?
Percentage, would you like to have a percentage on it? I could get you that, yeah. Yeah, for instance, the solid waste department, John probably, and I'm just going to round ball it right now, probably has about 12?
Yes. So our land combined totals around 23 people.
Yeah, but the solid waste is a little bit different than landfill.
Yes.
That's where your bigger turnover rate is. EMS, Joe, you've got 14 resignations, 2 retirees. You have probably 30, 25 or 30 employees on your full-time?
And part-time, about 10.
Okay. I can get you those exact numbers. Good question.
We're at 15, Jeff. 15 department.
I think it's important to look at the big picture. The next page, page 2, it shows the 2021 patrol deputy salaries that is on our payroll, their gross salaries. Some of those folks, if you see them, if they're less than $30,000, it means they didn't work a full year. Or less than $40,000 didn't work a full year. But some were new hires. Then page 3, 4, and 5 is what you just approved for a 7% increase. All the way through to numbers through 7. You go to page 8. Shows what a $2 an hour increase that the sheriff had asked for would cost. It cost the sheriff's department about $80,000. Cost fiscal court's budget about $112,000. Then you have the other departments separated if we were to do something across the board. Now, I did receive, the city paid for an elaborate pay rate study. And I have seen some of their, what their police officers are going to be making starting the new fiscal year. It's not approved yet by the city council, but where we're a little short on are officers that have been with us over 6 years. Everybody else is the one 6 years, 5 to 6 years or less, or we're right in line with what the pay rate's going to be. So it is the officers that have had some tenure that the city's going to beat us by a couple dollars an hour more, including the CLEP fund. And I've included the CLEP fund in both comparisons. I will give you, as soon as the city approves that, I will give you copies of those, because it'll be public record then. And really, it looks like to me, if we were going to do something, it would be retention of, like our EMS folks have done. And you made a good point of that, Eric, at the last court meeting. Our EMS people get a 50-cent an hour raise. Joe, explain a little bit.
So when we were dealt with the mass exodus and competing with folks in 2016, competing with other agencies, we had to get creative, and Judge and I worked on some different things. But what we do is we offer a 30-cent per hour increase up to 5 years, 30 cents per hour for each year of experience. So we can bring in folks that are already trained, have street experience. They can come in with a little bit more money than the person straight out of school comes in on their starting pay.
Was it effective in
2017, it was, went into effect, was effective?
Was it effective on retention?
Yeah, we were able to reach out and actually bring a couple of folks back that left us and went to other agencies. And it also made us a little more competitive. Our situation is we're competing with the Jefferson County Fire Departments. We're close enough. All those fire departments got an EMS business, and they started pulling their staff from rural services. So we're close enough to the Jefferson County area that our folk, that was very appetizing for them.
But Joe, at that time, we were also competing against the hospitals.
And well, we're still competing with the hospitals, but yeah, we lost a couple of folks in that era, in that year.
To Lexington.
To Lexington, UK, so we had to do something to curb that and be more be competitive. And this allowed us to bring in experienced people, saved us a lot of dollars on training because they come to us already to go on the truck. We'll spend 40 hours or so bringing a new person in just in orientation, get them ready to actually run on the truck. So it was beneficial and it was cost savings for us to do that.
Okay, the simplest way, if you wanted more revenue this fiscal year, would be to raise the 911 fee to where it's fully funded itself, instead of the city and county putting in extra money out of the general tax funds. County puts in $195,000 a year, and the city puts in $130,000 a year. Those combined, we would have to go from our current $24 an hour rate annually up to $40 an hour, $16 increase. A year. $16 increase a year, yeah. And that would get you relatively close to be able to do what the, just if you did just the law enforcement agencies. But sheriff's budget, he may have a hard time making his budget, to be honest with you. I've looked at it, Raymond.
I have a question on this $2 increase. And ours includes the CLAP. Does the rates you have for the city include CLAP also?
They don't, but I did when I made the comparisons.
You did?
Yeah.
On March now?
And when I get that official, I'll give you a copy of that. I think this is an informative meeting and try and come up with some type of solution. And we did that for EMS a few years ago. I'm not opposed to doing something for law enforcement if we can come up with new revenue.
I got a question for Joe. You said that you thought that 30 cents an hour worked. How come you got the highest rate of leaving if you thought it worked?
Well, I don't know how far back that went, but
18 months.
But we're still losing folks. I mean, we're not competitive today. We made ourselves competitive in 2017, but as we made ourselves competitive, other agencies had to, go a little higher.
Where our competition on EMS is also, some of these departments pay hazardous duty retirement on EMS and paramedics and
Hardin
EMTs.
County being one.
Hardin County is our biggest competitor on
And
that.
we've lost a couple of folks to Hardin County, but by far, I think the fire departments that got in the EMS business in Jefferson County, and there's a bunch of them, they're all fire districts and they all can pay extremely better salaries than we can for all of those departments.
They're taxing districts,
Nothing we can do.
special taxing districts. And that leads me to another source of revenue that if you were to consider this, I'm not promoting any one of these items. Other than the 911 fee, to me, is the one I could probably support, because that's kind of been on my mind for a long time, to make it a whole. Right now, we're not, where the city and county doesn't have the additional subsidy to it. The other one's the EMS tax. State law allows for an EMS tax, and you have to set up a board. That's where the public kind of gets a little sideways with the fiscal courts or governments setting up these boards. Then all of a sudden they have taxing power. Then it gets out of hand. History has shown that pretty regular. Northern Kentucky is full of fire districts and ambulance districts where they just have a lot of money. The other is, and I don't even want to say this word, my father-in-law would roll over in his grave if I said this, insurance premium tax. We're one of the few counties, Hardin County has one, Oldham County has one, I'm pretty sure Oldham does, I've checked that in the past. an insurance premium tax on your general liability insurance on your homeowners, or your cars as well. And that would generate a tremendous amount of money.
Was that rate about 5%?
You can go up, there's a cap on it. I'll have to educate myself on it. I haven't dug into it because I'm just leaving it out there today. I'm not proposing either one of the three I've said, but the only way that you can do it immediately probably would be to do the rate increase on the 911 services, on your tax bills. That would give you about almost it'll give you $195,000 at least to put into raises for the Sheriff's Department. My job is to present the options, and you guys are to digest everything here. Offer me suggestions if you have any ideas.
The other option is to look when we find money in other places. I think there is some money in this budget. Or a combination of the two. There are challenges out here. I mean, you can look at some of the assumptions that we made on this particular budget alone. Fuel costs were going to be actual of this fiscal year. I think they're going to be much higher.
But it's going to be at least 20% higher, but it kept rising.
That's going to impact the sheriff's budget as well. I'm interested in if you would elaborate on what you thought that the sheriff would have a difficult time making that in his budget.
Well, Ronnie, you have to back me up on this here. The sheriff currently, if he were to add another $80,000 to his budget, he doesn't have any fluff in his budget, and his payroll is probably the biggest challenge for the sheriff. Correct me if I'm wrong, Raymond. He has to borrow money from the state.
Any previous sheriff that, and sorry if I'm pointing, this is just me, this is how I talk. So it was brought up to my attention that some of you got offended because I talked with my hands. I'll try not to. Previous sheriffs have dealt with the same deal where fiscal court has had to front some of the payroll. For those of you that know in the public and the media, a sheriff under 70,000 population starts with $0 every year. That's why we have to borrow money from the state.
Yeah, every sheriff's department borrows that money.
Correct.
But we're at the max.
Whatever their budget is that they have to borrow. That's why I borrow $600,000 to make payroll. Some of them, the checks don't come in on time to make the payroll. The guys still have to get paid. Fiscal court fronts that money, and at the end of the year, whether I owe 1 or 2 payrolls, they get paid, they get reimbursed. It's never been, I've had 3 audits, and all of the audits have been clean. Where the fiscal court gets paid and the bills get paid and everything balances out.
You did have 1 year that you overspent your budget.
Correct.
Just to
But
clarify.
never
That's
went-
not a big issue. That's
But
not a big
never
issue.
went in the red. There was funds there that were just not budgeted.
But you're going to be kiting money if you don't watch it.
So everybody's got some information. This states from the city of Barstown that they will begin on July 1st.
It's not approved yet, though. That's the reason I didn't pass it out, man. I was asked not to.
According to the email, it says it's beginning July 1st.
Right. That's a different scale than what I've received.
Raymond, I guess my question is not, didn't have to do with the borrowing of the money. I'm talking about a year.
You got one from
Can
Matthew?
you absorb another $80,000 in payroll?
Say that again.
At the end of the year, can you absorb another $80,000 in payroll?
Yes.
I'm challenging that, Sheriff.
I'd like to see numbers.
Yeah.
We can challenge it. Did you get both? I don't think you got this one. To be fair with fiscal court, I took their 10-year average officer at the city of Barstown, and they're gonna start making $29.59 without CLEP. Let's take CLEP aside, that is incentive money.
Sheriff has 5 officers that have 6 years or more on our budget. 6 years or more. The majority of the sheriff's department right now is less than 5 years on our budget. So
To
don't
be
use that
fair-
$10 mark, because that's not a fair comparison.
And what about insurance? Is this with the insurance? or
Insurance, we
without?
pay $460 a month,
Pay
and
$400.
they pay $160, $80 a pay period.
Cause they're retired officers.
No, that's their health insurance. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
I have one deputy that is retired, Jerry Harden, and he's in my budget. We had others that were retired, and what's the benefit of me hiring retirees if we're not going to progress and do something with them?
Well, how are they hiring them?
They have 2 guys that are working the road. The rest of them are retired guys that are in either command staff or in a specialized position. The chief, the 2 assistant chiefs, and the training guy that does their training the whole year round. The other 2 is Hugh Hall and Tommy Joe.
Yeah, still saves them $300,000+ a year to do a lot more with. The bottom line, that's the truth.
Again,
I'm not gonna sit here and take it like I did last time, Raymond.
I'm not asking you to, Judge. You're taking it personal and you're asking me to.
I'm not, I'm trying to help you.
Okay. The numbers are there. You guys asked me to bring you numbers. Numbers are there. I'm asking for a $3 raise to be competitive with the city of Bardstown, and that's what I would be asking for. My
You asked for 2 earlier.
My budget has been cut the last 2 years, and I think the money's there. No taxes have to be raised. The money if my budget was to stay the same, the money could come out of there. Second, I have 2 guys on the Hardened Narcotic Task Force. When they get reimbursed money, I would like to know where that money goes. I brought up to the fiscal court that previous times, there's no credited for that. It comes out of the payroll, and it shows as expenditure, but no reimbursement. Same thing with the federal overtime. Guys that come out here in highway safety, write tickets, work overtime, they get reimbursed. We write fiscal court a check. I think the money's there. Y'all have a good day.
Is it accurate, Judge?
Well,
I mean, is this something that we could do without?
he's not
raising
talking about
taxes?
the retirement that we pay and the social security we pay on his officers. And that's where that money's going. And then the extra pay that happens out to the sheriff's department at the courthouse. We have paid.
I have to double check on that because I'm believing that I'm paying more than what previous sheriffs were paying.
For the deputies that work the courthouse?
They're all retired.
Yeah, but we're still paying their benefit packages.
We shouldn't be paying benefit package on them. They're retired.
But they're not on patrol, are they?
No, they're still
Courthouse
police
security.
officers.
Yeah. I'll have to check on that and see, Raymond. Bottom line is, we need more money. Now, if you want, I'll go through the budget and I can pull things here and there, but when you have a major breakdown, you have a building, a roof needs repaired in the middle of the year or replaced, if you want to run as tight as these big cities, they budget right to the penny. And then they wind up in the hole at the end of the year. I'm not operating like that the rest of six months of my career.
We had a $30,000 hot water heater go out yesterday, right, or Monday?
At the jail, yeah.
You know,
I'm gonna do some comparison. I'm gonna give you some numbers here.
do you have any comparisons on maybe what sheriff's departments in other counties this size are making?
You know, I looked at KCO's, and there was such a few amount of counties that participated in that last survey study, salary survey, that it's not a good summary of what really is going on out there. They had less than 35 counties out of 120 submit information. That's not a good measure.
Is it something we could find out doing some research, you know, just comparable size, maybe comparable budgets, what their officers are making?
They got it posted there, but it's not accurate. When you got 4 or 5 big counties, Boone County up in northern Kentucky and Kenton County or Campbell County, And you're comparing that to Washington, Marion, and Nelson, and Hardin?
Right, well, you know, I'm just looking at the comparisons, and we're comparing ourselves strictly to Bardstown. And, I mean, I think everybody's fully aware that those revenue streams aren't the same as what the county has to operate with. And I think even the sheriff's spoken to that before, that, you know, they do have a bigger budget, you know, $60 million budget that they're working out of. They do have other tax revenue, they do have.
About $6 million on occupational tax.
Alone, not to mention what they're making off of their services, besides their services. So, you know, if, you know, the goal is to keep, you know, the sheriff's department happy, right? We want happy officers, we want
everybody.
we want everybody to be happy, for sure. It's just operating within the parameters of what we can manage without impacting the taxpayer, you know, as least as possible. And I'm just curious, because I'm hearing two different things from the sheriff.
Rhonda and I are going to take, and I'm going to put this money into our budget I've just proposed to you, and see how it affects your budget. And we'll take the sheriff's budget, which you guys have approved, and see how it affects his budget.
I
And
told the judge, if I have to cut out from buying a vehicle, I will. I'd rather keep my guys happy than buy 2 vehicles and the guys be miserable and me worry about them leaving.
now I'm also going to take individual officers that we've got their payroll and their tenure in office with us, and I'm going to compare it to the cities. We're going to make a chart. We're going to show you exactly where we are per officer and how they fall, because that's important. If we're going to compare, if we're competing against the city of Bardstown for police officers, many times the police officers are not leaving because of pay. I can assure you that. I've talked to four or five of them at least, and it wasn't because of pay.
One of them, because he didn't get promoted to captain. He don't complain. He didn't get what he wanted, and that's the bottom line.
I'm not going to call anybody out by name or.
Well, I mean, you're throwing it out there. I'm gonna give you realistic things. If I'm mad at you because you didn't get promoted, then yes, you're gonna talk bad about us.
I'm not going to get into those arguments.
What's the size of the city police?
36.
36, and we are 28.
She got about 25 road deputies,
How many is up at the courthouse?
7.
7?
Just, can you give a little history on how we ever got to the point where that we are paying the fiscal court, paying the FICA and retirement for the law enforcement that comes out of the sheriff's budget?
Yes, and actually that's the county clerk and the sheriff's department. For years, the county clerk and the sheriff did not have the revenue stream to pay their Social Security and retirement match that they had to put in. So the fiscal court funded those, even when Jimmy Riley was here, other sheriffs were here the years before, and fiscal court funded that, and that hasn't stopped. Technically, that should be in the sheriff's budget, technically. Now that over the years, when the sheriff has increased his revenue based on commissions and property values, that probably should have been put back into the sheriff's budget. But in doing so, we've added officers to the sheriff's budget, patrol officers, and it's been a good thing overall, just to be honest with you. But that's what the history of that is. Their cash flow, as he said, they started out with 0. They do not have the cash flow to make payroll on a regular basis, especially if you throw another $300,000 plus in there. That's the history of that since I've been here, since 1994.
Okay, the bottom line, if he gets an increase, how much is the bottom line will it cost fiscal court?
Go to page 8,
I see that.
okay, and then you would take the 79,000 and 111,000, to add those two together,
190?
at $2 an hour increase.
Probably 190?
If you go to the second page that I gave you, on the 2-pager, it's broken down mathematically. 17 road deputies, fiscal court side. 17 road deputies times $3 is 51. 51 times,
We did $2 an hour, Randy, because that's what you asked for last court meeting.
that's fine. Times the 2080, which is 2,080 hours, it would be $106,000. And then the 58% is the benefits, retirement, Social Security, and FICA. That would be $61,526. Add that together for $167,606. That would be the part of fiscal court.
Plus overtime.
So that's a discrepancy. He's saying 160 and you're saying 190?
Well, according to Rhonda,
Where's the difference coming?
I haven't seen his numbers, I don't know.
And mine's on $3.
well,
So Judge, this,
I'm taking Rhonda's word.
There's a discrepancy here somewhere.
Yeah.
$2 is this, and then if $3 is this, is a bigger discrepancy.
I did a $3 times the 17 deputies, and I had not done the math for the benefits. I knew that 50% was the retirement, and I did not know that 8% was gonna be the Social Security and FICA. Judge gave me the 8%, so I did 58%.
7.65%, yeah.
I did 58%.
Then you do have workman's comp that goes in
Yeah,
on top of
those aren't in
that.
my
We didn't
numbers,
even,
though.
we didn't
I
include
didn't,
those.
I didn't add those.
Yeah, we did not include those in ours.
so this packet right here is only a $2 increase.
Yes.
So if you want a $3 increase on this, how much would that increase?
Well, you take
That's
that.
like 50% more.
50% more.
And Raymond, you're just doing,
Under 50,000.
you're just doing the officers, correct?
Correct.
I think that might be the discrepancy. I think
Only
the staff
officers.
as well.
Ronnie, we
road deputies.
took, we did just the officers, we initially did all the employees at the sheriff's
I
department.
did, right. I
And
got
we
it
took
broke
those
out.
out.
7% raised the court approved for all employees. I have the #1 paid court security in the state.
And we're paying for
You
AOC
just
function.
do road deputies or all, everybody?
I did everybody. Well, I did the 17 on our side, and then I had 11 full-time and 3 part-time on the sheriff, is what I calculated.
That's probably right.
And that's the way I see it.
Yeah.
I have to bring down his number, I can't. He's gotten too small for me in here right now.
Sorry. Was working on them at 1 o'clock in the morning.
I'm going to take, between now and the next fiscal court meeting, I want to take every single officer that we have, and I will line them up with what the city is paying and give you an exact pay rate difference. You'll find that the windshield glance I took, that the guys that have tenure with us are underpaid. It's not the new officers as much as the older officers. Would you agree with that, Brandon?
More experienced.
We understand that, but
If you're right even with what the city's paying,
for years, then let's do a pay scale for the sheriff's office.
well, we can do that.
It's gonna cost you more money.
But
I brought that up 3 years ago.
if you're going to do it, we're going to do it for all employees, like the city does.
I'm fine with that.
Well, you have a grade.
Be prepared to raise taxes through the roof.
If you're going to be fair to your employees, whoever they are.
Yes, sir.
We're elected to represent everyone. Guys, have anything else?
We have a lot of questions, but we don't have the numbers to support the questions.
We'll get you those. And I'm going to take Rhonda's numbers as to what we need to work off of. Because, they're in our budget, most of it's in our budget. The biggest portion of it is. Okay? Any questions, specific?
So
You got some charge you want me to take a look at, and I'll get you the comparisons.
I mean, the problem that I have with these discussions is we're talking about his budget and our budget. And that's not really the case. I mean, it's just which pocket you're getting it out of.
I understand.
You know, if his increases, then he comes back and asks for more for fiscal court anyway. It's a zero-sum game. You can't separate the two rice bowls and say, I got more rice. You don't. It's the same.
That's why I did a comparison of both fiscal court 17 guys and sheriff's office 7 guys. And it's side by side on my piece of paper.
There is a difference though, Jeff, because he can pay his deputies whatever he wants to out of his budget.
Yeah.
And we,
But I don't, because I want to be fair to the other deputies. And I
Fair.
don't think it's fair. I could have given them $2 raise 2 years ago.
yeah, I agree.
But I
Brandon,
didn't.
we're the same way. We want to be fair to everybody also. I mean, you're asking us just to support you all.
I'm not asking you all to support us, Keith.
When you
What-
said that you want to be fair to all your deputies, look what we got to deal with too.
What I'm asking for is we're losing 17 years ago, and Jim, don't screenshot just because I'm pointing. 17 years ago, Fiscal Court and the Sheriff's Office lost 5 to 7 guys. Rich Harden, Dennis Wells, John Snow, Tommy Joe, Watts, and I think there was one, Keith Green. State Police and Louisville Metro. Back then, that was it, that guys got a little bit more money then. I don't want to wait until we lose 5 or 6. We've already lost them. I'm the first sheriff that has lost the most deputies in my tenure.
Well, so is every other department too. We're just in different times than we've ever been in our life. Our gas prices are higher than they've ever been. Employees are harder to retain. Employees are hard to get, not retain. They're hard just to get. The restaurants, the Baskin and Robin ice cream dipper, everybody. I mean, I don't know, we're just in different times, right? You know that, I think.
We are. And the gas prices going up, as the sheriff, we're still going police. I'm not going to park cruisers.
I understand. You took an oath to do
I
your
took
job.
serve and protect, and that's what we're going to do. I don't care if the gas prices go up to $10. We're still going to do our job. We're still going to be there for the citizens.
Get some horses.
We might have to get some, but I don't think we need them.
Has any more questions?
I'm done.
I'll get you a little more detail. It's up here in my mind what we need to do, and I presented my case to you, what we need to do if we're gonna give more money. Now, I can skim some money from the general fund. When I say skim, pull out some line items, but just hope you don't have a chiller breakdown at the Civic Center or a hot water boiler at the cooler went out this past year. You gotta be prepared, guys. Can't just operate on this by the skin of your teeth. And the big cities do that regularly.
So basically, whatever option that we decide to go with, whether it be,
First, I'm gonna do the comparison man for man
right,
with what the city's gonna be paying their officers.
but basically, any kind of raises of what we're talking about in this is gonna call for raising revenue streams, is that fair to
If
say?
you wanna be safe. We've never operated by the skin of our teeth. In my 30 years, almost 30 years being here.
Do you support that, Raymond?
What's that?
Do you support raising extra revenue streams to accomplish what we're asking?
Eric, I believe that there's money in the budget within fiscal court to do what I'm asking for. It's $167,000 what I'm asking for, or 168, less than 168,000. Okay? And I'll tell you why. The county just approved 800,000 plus on pay raises, and we didn't raise taxes.
Because it was divided amongst 7 departments. We don't pull money from the garbage and
Still did
landfill,
not have to raise taxes.
but you're not understanding the budget process.
I am.
Well, if it's $160,000, and you've already said you would give a unit a year, which is to buy that unit and equip it, is probably what, 58, 60,000? So that knocks a third of it down right there.
And we could knock one down too.
Right.
Once we could do that.
If he thinks he can get by with that.
Well, and, another thing too, and we don't really need to overlook it, is there ways that we could offer things that didn't impact the budget? Maybe not unlimited sick days, but something of, something like that you'd already.
I'm hearing it's all about pay.
Are we gonna do it for every employee?
I'd say you probably would have to.
Okay, so this is just one department. So if we do this for every employee, would you have to 5 times this, Judge?
Well, you have John is losing and Joe's losing more employees than anybody, if you want to look at it from that perspective.
So think about that.
Let's go
You
back
talk
in
about
history
revenue stream.
on law enforcement in general, since 1994, since I came on board. The Sheriff's Department and the county police were two separate agencies. The Sheriff's Department funded their own cars. The men had their own cars. They paid for they got an expense allowance of so many cents a mile for their vehicles. We decided at that time we wanted a better police force. And Mike Newton, Jimmy Riley passed away, and I was trying to sell Jimmy about that concept before he passed. And when Mike got appointed as the sheriff, we decided to merge two departments. About that time, the CLEF fund and the state educational component of law enforcement was opened up to the sheriff's department, and we bought cars for every officer. So the fiscal court has a history of wanting to and supporting the police officers. Our pay for about 20 years was $4 higher than what the city was paying for about 20 years. I promise you it was. I can get the documents, I've got them in my files in there to prove that. And because that was important to me and to the fiscal court during that time. And fiscal court has always supported the police officer, but we're being pitted against another local department. That's not a good thing for the citizens of Nelson County, because we're competing against our brothers and sisters in our community. Of course, you guys I can sense you guys wanting to do something financially for the police department, and I will have that plan for you in the next couple of days and send it out to you. How are we going to pay for it? I'm tired of fooling with it myself. Because you're beating this horse and beating this horse, and it's not going to keep your retention any better at the police department, I promise you. $2 an hour is not going to keep them if they're not happy.
Through now.
Judge, you have some deputies here. I'll step out. You ask them if they're happy.
I'm not going to do that, Sheriff.
Then don't mention that they're not happy. If you're having exit conferences with the guys leaving, I should be involved in it. But you keep saying that they're not happy. Here you got about 6 of them.
I'm not going to put them on the spot like that, Raymond. That's not right.
You're putting them on the spot now.
I didn't call individual names.
You're not just fighting with Barstown Police, you're fighting with Bullitt County, you're fighting with Shepherdsville, you're fighting with Mount Washington. It's not just Bardstown, you're fighting with all of them. Every one of us sitting here has been offered a job to go to Bullitt County, Shepherdsville, Mount Washington, back to Louisville Metro. You're not just fighting with Bardstown.
I understand.
They all make more than we do.
And the department that...
And I told you that a month ago.
Yeah.
I told you you're gonna lose 3 or 4 people.
But I hear this, and then when I get the numbers, they're not exact. What I hear.
I could go to Bardstown City. I will not go to Bardstown City because I was raised in the county. Always will be in the county. But I could go to the city police right now and make $79,300 a year.
Oh yeah, it's in the
But I
packet.
don't want to because I love the county.
It's in the packet.
And y'all talking about retired police officer. I'm retired. You can get retired police officers, maybe, but y'all gotta understand something. As I'm 53 years old, I get out here and I work. You can ask the sheriff. I'll work and I'll write tickets as good as I can, much as I can. But I don't police as hard as I did when that man, when I was his age or that one down there. It's as older you get, you slow down. You know that, Eric. I talked to you about that the other night. Retired police officers are great for if you can get them. That's great. And it does help the budget. But they're not going to get out here and hit it. Y'all see the drugs. Y'all see the TV, the news media that will share posts every day, the meth and stuff. It's these younger guys out there busting the butts at night doing it. When the bad guy's beating at your door with a shotgun, yeah, we help you to finish that. But who y'all going to call to come to your house to take care of you? You going to call, not putting down the garbage truck, but they got jobs too. You going to call one of them, or who you going to call?
Point well taken.
And
That's
something
what I'm
else
saying.
is trying to hire rehires. I've talked to rehires about trying to come here. They don't want to come here because they said, well, I can go to Shepherdsville and make more money. I can go to Mount Washington. I can go to Louisville Metro, and I can make more money doing that.
Hey, I can too, but I can go anywhere I want and make more money if I want to.
Well, then everybody's going to leave. And
That's
I heard-
move on. Well, I got your point. You told me the other day that it was about pay.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. Well, we had to talk. Motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn by Bernard Ice. Is there a second?
A second.
Second by Eric. All approved, say aye. Aye. Disapprove? Motion will carry. It's a shame that law doesn't let us talk quietly amongst ourselves and air our differences, dirty laundry out without the media here, but Jimmy understands the law is the law. a lot of times, most of these things can be resolved if you had one-on-one discussions without the media being here.
I didn't see them today. You should have let me know. You wanted me to.